Hi guys, Chris here at the Craft Cabin. Today I'm going to go through these fabulous embroidery stitches with you and a secret bonus. Thanks very much. Bye. Okay, the tools you'll need today are a scissors, embroidery needle, some fabric, embroidery thread or floss, and an embroidery hoop. To start off with on our thread, don't know if you can see this. So there is 6 threads in each one, and sometimes a pattern will call to only use 2 or 4 or 3 threads. We're going to be using the full width today. So I'm going to thread this. So I have the full width threaded there, and I'm going to tie a knot in the end because it just stops you from pulling your thread all the way through after your hard work. Like so. Now I'm going to open up my hoop here by unscrewing this just a little bit, and the inside will pop out like that. And I'm going to get my fabric, which I've already marked out for you. So you place your piece of fabric on top of your inner hoop, just making sure your pattern is nice and centered. And then I'm going to take my outer hoop with this bit on it and slip it around. Now, if you find it's a little bit tight with the fabric on, just unloosen it a bit more, and there we go. Now I'm going to tighten this back up, good and tight, and you can see here I'm still a bit loose, so I'm just going to put my finger on the back here and just pull it down, and this will tighten it all the way around. And you want it nice and smooth with not too many buckles. And there we go. Now we are going to start off on our back stitch here, which you will see is exactly as described. So I'm going to go into my second stitch length to start with, and I'm going to bring it in from the back, and then I'm going to go back on itself down to our first stitch, like that. That's it. Now I'm going to come up the back, and I'm going to go to my next one here. And I'm going to come back and go through the same hole that I started at, like that. And then I'm going to go up the back again. Oops. To my next one. And I'm going to come down here. So you can see we are working back on ourselves as we go. To show you the back here. So you can see here it's a solid line along the back. Because as I go through here, I'm going to come back down to here. And then I'm going to go up to here and then back down. Okay. It and back down to there, and that is our back stitch, which is lovely for doing a word, an outline for writing, or for doing a stem of a plant, or lots of things, outlining and all that. Now just to tie off, I'll show you. You go back in, try and get a good little bit that it isn't going to be wiggling around. So I'm going through some of the threads here, and I'm going to bring it through. And I'm going to do that again. And I'm going to bring it through, and I'm going to do it one more time. And this time I'm just going to tie a little knot through there, and that should hold it nice and tight, and we can trim it now. Yeah. So now we are going to do our satin stitch here. So a satin stitch is lovely to fill in a petal or a flower. It can be a little bit tricky to get your edges even and to stop it slowly slanting this way. So I like to mark out a grid like this. So again, I have my thread. I'm going to tie a knot in the end, like so. And I'm going to start on my satin stitch. So I'm going to start at the bottom here. And I'm going to follow the line up here to the top. This just keeps it all very straight, and if you find yourself doing a leaf or anything, I would mark it out in a grid. I'm going to go onto my second line here. And then move over. Like so. So to fill this part in, I've done a sort of a step at the back. I'll show you now. So you can see there, I came up, I moved over, I came down, I moved over, up, move over, down, move over, up. But now what we're going to do is we're going to be coming from the back of the bottom and going in at the top. So we're going to be going like that all the way along. So I'm just going to start filling in here. You don't want to split, you don't want to come up in the middle of a stitch like that. You just want to go one side of it, keeping an eye that the bottom is all even. Don't pull too tight either here. You want to keep it nice and full. So I'm just going to stop there for a moment. You can see here I'm about to run out of thread, and I know I won't have enough to finish here. So I'm going to just do a last stitch to the back. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to tie this off. So you just want to make sure you have enough length to do this. And I'm just going to do 2 knots. Yeah, like that. Oops. There we go. And that's a little bit long. I'm just going to trim it so it doesn't get in the way. And then I'm going to get some more. You want to cut your threads about the length of your arm so that when you pull a stitch at the start, it should go tight. Thread this, and I'm going to put a knot in the end as usual and continue on. Yeah. And I'm coming in from the back. finished up there. So my last stitch was up here, so I'm going to continue on from the bottom. Now, and there we have our satin stitch completed. Now we are going to move on to our chain stitch here. It's a lovely stitch as a decorative one if you want to do it as if you're doing a floral thing, or if you want to do a chain around, or it's just fab. So we're going to go and... Hiya, now we're going to give our chain stitch a go. So we're going to start at the bottom here and come up, and I'm going to go back down through that exact same hole, and you want to pull a little bit slowly here because we don't want to pull it all the way through. And I'm going to come up on our next stitch length here. Oops. Again, not pulling too tight. So I want to come through this loop and catch it at the top. See, just giving a little pull because you don't want to lose that lovely teardrop shape. And then I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to come down in the exact same hole. Oops. See, I pulled too tight there. Coming down in the exact same hole. I'm going to loosen that a little bit. And I'm going to come up in my next stitch length up here. And again, I want to grab this chain, this little loop, and I'm going up to there, not pulling too tight. And I'm going to repeat that, go down back to the same hole, come up my next stitch length, pulling quite gently, and just want to make sure, because the loop twists, I want it facing the same way so it's not all twisted on itself, which is that way. And gently going to pull it down. That's it. And final one down through there, up to the next stitch. And I want to grab this loop and finish there. Now to tie this off, I'm going to go in down the other side of my floss here and bring it to the back. So in a way very similar to the chain stitch, I'm going to show you the lazy daisy stitch. This is a really nice simple one, really effective for making flowers. So we're going to come up in the center. Oops. And then I'm going to go down in the center again. Like that, into the exact same hole. A little bit of thread there. And then I'm going to come up where I've marked the tip of my first petal, which is here. And I'm going to come in through the loop like we did for the chain stitch. Again, not pulling too tight. That's it. And then I'm going to go down on the opposite side to there, just to pin the top of that stitch in place. Now I'm going to come back up into the center again, and then I'm going to go down in the same stitch again, pulling slowly, and then I'm going to come up at the tip of my next petal, grab the loop like that, and then I'm going to go down on the opposite side to pin it in place. So, and then you repeat this for all your petals. Up through the center, down through the center. Not pulling too tight, and then I'm going to come up to the tip of my petal, grab that loop, and then come down on the opposite side. Like that. Yeah. And then I'm going to go into the center again. Oh, bit of mysterious blue thread there. And then go down the center. Over to the tip. And then I'm going to catch this loop. And then go down the opposite side to pin it in place. And there we have our lazy daisy. It's a really quick and effective way to make a flower and add a little bit of bulk to your embroidery. Next up is our stem stitch, and as the name implies, it's great for doing stems or outlines and things on flowers. So we're going to start here at the bottom, and we're going to go a little bit longer than your normal stitch length up to here. So it should be a double stitch length. Like that. And as I'm not going to pull it all the way through, I just want to leave a little bit of bagginess because we're going to come up halfway along our stitch. Like that. And I'm going to pull that tight. And then I'm going to go up to our next stitch. And again, I'm not going to go pull all the way through. I'm going to come up here to this point. It's always the halfway point. And I'm keeping it always on this one to the left of our stitches. So I'm not coming through the loop this way. I'm coming up this way. I'm going to pull that tight. You can see there, starting to make a lovely sort of coiled effect. And I'm going to go up to our next stitch. Again, not going to quite pull it through all the way. And I'm going to come up just to the left side of this. Oops. And I'm going to pull that tight now and keep going along that way. Now you want to stay on the same side all the time. So say if you're working and it's a curve and it goes like that, you can put your stitches on the right side, or if it goes that way, you can put your stitches on the left. If it goes like that, just choose one side and stick to it. Don't be switching back and forth because it sort of ruins that lovely effect. Now, and we can tie that off now. Our next one we're going to do here is the French knot. This is a really nice stitch for adding a lot of texture, and in fact I've seen whole sections of embroidery done with these. So what we're going to do is from the back we're going to come up into our first stitch like that, and I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to wrap it around. I did it 3 times, you can do it twice, and I want to pull the needle so it's down. I don't want it up here, and I'm going to just gently slide back and put the tip back in there and loosely pulling it, and that's my first French knot. You can see it has a bit of height. I'm going to move over to my next one here. I'm going to come up the back. Make sure you don't pull too tight because you'll lose the fatness from this. Again, I'm going to come right down. I'm going to wrap. You can do this 2 or 3 times, depending on how big you want it. And I'm going to slip the needle back, just the tip, and go back in. You can imagine these all clustered together on a woolly sheep. Now, and that's my second one. And I'm going to come back here to my third. So pull it all the way through. I'm going to wrap 3 times. Oops, fingers and thumbs. And I'm going to bring it right down as far as I can, slide the needle back and into the same hole. Now, and there we have our French knot. So now we're going to look at the long and short stitch. It's similar to the satin stitch, and I'll be showing you a little bit of blending in it as well. So I have 2 coloured threads here. So one is a lighter pink and one's a darker pink. I'm going to start at the top with the lighter, and you can see here I got a little bit loose, so I'm just going to tighten this up again. Lovely. And like the satin stitch, I have this broken up into quadrants. So I'm going to start at the top. Oops. And I'm only going to be working within the top half, but they're going to be different stitch lengths. So you can see I went shorter on that one. Now I have all different lengths here, and I'm going to start filling it in, but again with all different lengths. Now, so I've made my way along and I just realized I kind of missed a stitch there. So if you do the same, just go back and you can fill it in. Now, so we're going to move on to the bottom with a slightly darker pink now. So back here, I'm going to start on this end. Coming up. Lovely. And I'm going to go in to the stitch up here. And this should blend quite nicely. And then on the next one, I'm going to go back up to the bottom of that stitch. Now, and there we have our long and short stitch, and you can see the two colours blending in really nicely. So there we have our 7 basic embroidery stitches: our French knot, long and short stitch, stem stitch, chain stitch, satin stitch, lazy daisy and backstitch. As a little bonus today, I just want to show you the woven wheel stitch, which is absolutely one of my favourites. It's so effective. So you're going to draw a spoke, and it has to be odd numbers, so 5, 7, etc., but no less than 5 of them. If you want a bigger flower, you obviously add 2 more on. So we're going to come into the center here. Yeah. I'm going to go to the top, and we're just going to fill in our spokes here. And then going back to the center, same stitch, and onto the next one. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come up, not in the center, just outside it, to here, if you can see that. We're going to, so as it says on the tin, we are going to weave this. So we're going to go over this one here, and then we're going to come under and then over, under, over. And then each time you go around, you should be alternating. So the last one you went under, you should be going over, etc. So say if you're running out of thread at this stage, or you want to change colours, you're going to come to a spoke that you are going to go under. And instead of going under, I'm just going to bring my thread through to the back. And I'm going to tie this off. And I'm going to come back through with another colour, and I'm going to come up just on the opposite side there of where I've gone down. So it looks like the stitch has gone under and then over again. I'm going to bring that up and I am going to continue on in the pattern. So my last one there was over that, so I'm going under. Now, so you keep on going until all your spokes are completely covered, and there you have your woven wheel. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and happy embroidery. Bye.